Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
And now, His Royal Majesty, the 98th Emperor of the Holy Britannian Empire.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've got quite a story for you. Donald Trump is making moves to include Greenland as part of the United States. And unlike Canada, those bunch of ungrateful retards, it seems that Greenland actually may be pretty receptive to the United States. And so JD Vance went to Greenland, and he has some very interesting things to say, and that's what we're going to talk about today. JD Vance coming out and saying Denmark has not done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And you know what? I think he's absolutely right. And I think that in terms of location, the U.S. is the only one that can actually keep it safe. And Trump was talking about how Russian and Chinese ships are coming awfully close. So if the U.S. were to bring Greenland into the fold, I think most Americans would be very, very happy to include Greenland and to make it part of the U.S.
About, of course, the interaction and what Denmark, I think, has done, and sometimes in partnership with us, but let's be honest, what Denmark over the last 20 years has failed to do in some cases, because we know that unfortunately this place, this base, the surrounding area is less secure than it was 30, 40 years ago because some of our allies haven't kept up. As China and Russia have taken greater and greater interest in Greenland, in this base, in the activities of the brave Americans right here, we know that too often our allies in Europe have not kept pace. They haven't kept pace with military spending, and Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations. Now, President Trump, as he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to.
True.
And unfortunately, the story of Greenland over the past 20 years when it comes to security is that we've underinvested in the infrastructure, we've underinvested in the security architecture, and we've underinvested in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And you know, one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about. There is no amount of bullying, no amount of obfuscating, no amount of confusing the issue. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is. It's consistent with the first Trump administration, where you saw significant investments in Arctic security, and it will continue over the next 4 years under President Trump's leadership. And
Damn. Yeah, I think that was a great speech. I'm liking JD Vance more and more. I was very skeptical of him at first. In fact, I thought Trump had made a mistake, but the more I hear from him, the more he talks, the more I'm convinced he was the right choice. And what a stark contrast from Mike Pence. I never liked Mike Pence. But I mean, this goes beyond just not liking. I actually do very much like JD Vance because he's direct and because he says the things that need to be said into the faces of the people that need to hear it the most. Now, of course, they think that, and this is interesting. So Trump is a tough guy. Trump has that, mafia boss energy. Some people say, well, he's nefarious, but no, the way that he interacts, all of these weak, insufferable beta males, these leftists that are in positions of power, they think that the way that you respond to that is by basically mimicking it. Like, we're gonna tear you 20. Like, these people end up ruining themselves going after Trump because they try to copy his style. They try to copy his approach because they see that he's being strong. Well, I need to be strong. But that's not their natural state. For Trump, it is his natural state. It's not their natural state. They're naturally weak people. Like Mark Carney, for example. That guy is playing a tough guy. He's not a tough guy. He's just not. Or, Trudeau was playing a tough guy. Trudeau's not a tough guy. But these people tried to go after Trump and play his own game, and then they end up losing. And that's really where we're at. You see, the way to approach Trump is obviously with, deference, and like you're the president of the United States. We're going to be making a gesture to show that, what you're doing is working, and we're going to work with you. That really is the best way to approach it. If the Canadians, for example, weren't such arrogant retards, they would have said, okay, we hear you. We're going to drop some of the tariffs on milk and dairy and, chicken, which is ridiculous. We're going to lower some of the tariffs. And Trump would have responded, that's great. We have a great relationship with Canada. We're also going to be dropping, some of our tariffs. Like, it would have been that Trump would have responded accordingly. But instead they want to they want to fight with Trump. They want to posture off with Trump, and you're going to end up losing. You're going to end up losing, and the American people are going to win. And the only thing that you've solidified is that you're not our allies, you're not our friends, you're our enemies. And maybe you're not enemies to the extent of Russia or China, but at least Russia and China admit the fact that they don't like the United States. I mean, you guys play, you're our closest ally and friend. Oh, and by the way, we hate you. It's like ridiculous. So I think that this speech from JD Vance was great. I think that Trump wanted to bring Greenland into the fold. I think that also was great. I am fully in support of that 100% as an American. Yeah, making Greenlanders, making them American citizens. I think that's perfectly fine. If that's what they want, I think we should fight to make that happen. And it's an advantage to the United States. It changes everything. It really does. It really changes everything. So we'll see what happens. But once again, JD Vance delivering says allies in Europe have not kept pace, and it's observably true. And invading Greenland makes more sense than Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm fine. We're not going to be
And now
invading
I want to talk
Greenland.
about, of course,
We were never going to be invading Canada. The whole thing about annexation was that they would do it willingly because they were smart enough to realize it would be a huge benefit. But the people of Canada are retarded. They're arrogant and they're retarded, a dangerous combination. So they decided to put their feet down, and now they're getting laid off in huge numbers, and now they're, oh, we're going to tariff the United States even more. Oh, and the premier of Ontario, or is it Ottawa? The premier of Ottawa threatening American people, just casually. We're going to make the American people suffer. Oh, are you? Are you? If I were Trump, I would use that clip from that guy. I mean, that is the biggest boon Trump has been given, and they're not playing it around the clock. The Canadians want to hurt you. I mean, that's the messaging I would be going with. The Canadian government wants to hurt you. We told them they need to pay more of their fair share, and they respond like this. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a shorter video. I just wanted to cover this topic. Denmark has not done a good job of keeping Greenland safe. That's the story. JD Vance did a great speech. I support the Trump administration doing this, trying to bring Greenland into the fold. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.